Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And let's do exactly that, cover some crazy crypto news. Yeah, so honestly, there's quite a lot that's going on. First of all, as you guys have probably already noticed, we've had some very interesting price action over on the Bitcoin chart. You can see we actually broke out towards the upside, which got people really excited. I again warned you all not to take any trade unless we got some confirmation. And looking at the chart, there ain't no confirmation, all right? We got ourselves a breakout candle with a negative candle afterwards, another juicy little retest with a potential little breakout, or what you want to call that. But again, it did not prevail before it moved inside the triangle again and actually broke out towards the downside. And now over the next, couple of hours here, a little bit of time, it's actually going to showcase whether or not we're going to get a confirmation towards the downside. As it currently stands, we are retesting this little resistance. Having said that, guys, if you are still looking for a platform to trade on, I'm going to be announcing a very big Bybit giveaway soon. If you're not part of my Bybit army just quite yet, just know there's a very big $6 million, I believe that the top team can win. $6 million competition coming up this week, and we can work as a team. So if you're a trader, make sure you join our team by just making sure you get yourself an account over on Bybit. A link is down below. I'll explain more as we get closer. Having said that, for XRP, I would say the same situation applies, where we had a little bullish breakout, did not get the confirmation, and actually, in this case here, are still in the triangle, and we are retesting the top here. But here you can clearly see, in my own opinion, right, how these triangles hold themselves quite dearly as people like to trade them. If you guys get my drift, people like to trade these exact price levels. And if we're all looking at the exact same charts and the exact same numbers, that's usually how these things keep their value. It's not necessarily that this exact point here is of so much relevance because of that much resistance or support. It's mostly just orchestrated because we're all looking at the exact same things. I would say that out of all this, the most bullish is actually the altcoins. Even though we had a breakout and a retest straight afterwards, it actually had an push upwards, a pretty significant one, before right now coming back to retest yet again. And again, I cannot really tell you what's going to happen in the near future, as we are going to have to wait out how the stocks are most likely going to keep moving here. And if you're wondering how it looked like on our little horizontal Bitcoin chart, this is what it looked like here. We retested our little critical resistance perfectly here. If you guys remember from about a day and a half ago or so, I told you guys all the only moment at which we're going to trade and open up a long position is if we actually do cross the 30.6 thousand barrier as well, as this was a little bit of a hidden barrier. Why? Well, everybody was looking at this little triangle over here, but one critical point that people were missing is that you don't actually can only draw a triangle. You can actually also draw it as just a horizontal channel here specifically, and that's the exact top which we've hit here. Again, it's actually the fourth top in a very short amount of time with one false breakout before. Very interesting. By the way, for anybody that did not get the reference before, the Bitcoin market actually had its new consecutive weekly red candle. Basically, I think it was like 8 candles in a row, right? Which is a new little record over on the weekly. It's crazy how long of a decline this has been. Really, if you start backtracking as to when we made our all-time high here, time really does fly. If you just look at the chart, again, the little time between the initial 64,000 and 69,000, I'm going to say that they're, okay, you know what, I don't want to risk it, right? Here you can see it's actually 210 days between the initial new high and the new all-time high. So again, 210 days. And now how long has it been since all-time high thus far? If I can press shift accordingly. There we go. It's now been about 196 days. So it's kind of funny, but I guess nobody be worried just quite yet, because between our two previous all-time highs there in that little time span, there's actually more time in between than what we are facing right now. So we still have about, let's say, a little bit more than 20 days to go before we should go panic mode or something like that. It's just a joke, of course. Because at the end of the day, I'm never really worried. People have often asked me, are you thinking of selling? And actually, I talked to one of my buddies at the gym earlier today, and I told him something about crypto, but basically what eventually the conclusion came towards is the question that I always get. Do you really believe in this crypto stuff? You think it's going to actually come back up here? And I think that's one thing that's lingering around in the space so much right now. It's people just not being sure that it's actually going to stay around. They're afraid that it's going to eventually turn back around. It's not going to, cool on. Let's say it like that. Then again, you got to understand, more and more of everywhere around the world, they're just going to start getting more and more into crypto. It's just a start, really. I think NFT is one of the best examples where we're just seeing it expand massively, but also in terms of the regulation wave and with the severity of how many people have been affected to what degree with Luna. I think it all showcases just how far we are getting in the last couple of months here. If I look back at some of my videos from 2017 and 2016 even, most of them have been deleted or privated. I think the majority of them have. But what's funny is the contrast between what type of news we had at the time, what we got excited about, versus now. It's like one bank saying this or that about crypto. It's like, oh, okay, sure. Back then it was like, wow, a bank is speaking out. That is crazy. But the acknowledgement phase, that's all behind us, right? Right now we're all like, okay, so what's gonna, but we are already 10,000 steps further than we were a couple years ago. And things are really moving fast. I have some numbers which I'll show you guys in a later video about 12% of the Americans in the world, of the Americans having found out about crypto and having like bought or interacted with it. It's really crazy if you start to see the numbers, kind of how low it is, but also how high it is. It's like relative. Low for what I thought that people would kind of hop on the bandwagon for, low in comparison to how much crypto can still grow if more and more people get acquainted with it. All right, another Terra Luna prize-filled recovery attempt causes uproar in the community. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more in depth about this a little bit later, but it's been rather interesting. Several whistleblowers have contacted Terra community member Fatman and revealed details of Terraform Labs Do Kwon's monthly payments to quantitative trading firm Jump Crypto and their role in the crash of UST. Proposal 1299 has failed to fuel a recovery in Terra Luna's price. And Terra Luna price fails to recover despite Proposal 1299 to rescue over 150 million UST stuck in osmosis and sidechains. Anonymous Terra community members have come forward to explain that little insider. And Do Kwon told the Terra community that sending Luna to the burn address is a loss and not really a good idea because you're not really doing anything. But we'll get to that a little bit later. I've told you guys, Fatman is definitely the man to follow for all the Terra news. But I'll get you guys a juicy Terra update a little bit later. I've been taking it slow today, just kind of, watching rather than updating too much, because sometimes you gotta take a little step back to reflect on everything that's happened to most, or hopefully have a better chance at, taking whatever info you get afterwards and act right upon it. So yeah, I've been doing that today. A little bit of a taking it back. Do Kwon advises against burning Luna. We talked about that, but the whole story is he provided the burn address. If you're burning your Luna, you're not really doing too much for the ecosystem. You're just losing money is basically what he is saying. A couple of pieces of news. GameStop launches a new digital wallet for crypto and NFTs. Does GameStop have a future in virtual currency and digital collectibles? Once more, remember, due to this, how far we are getting. One thing, okay, I guess I can't open it, but it doesn't really matter too much. What basically happened, if you guys are wondering, is Beeple got hacked. Beeple's the guy behind the $69 million artwork or the NFT, and there were some scammers in there who basically try to trick you out of your money. I didn't have to spend too much time on that. This one I think is more interesting. Fed report shows crypto is favored as an investment tool. The Federal Reserve has issued its annual report examining the financial lives of U.S. residents, and it indicates Americans are more likely to use crypto as an investment tool than a purchasing mechanism. And this is honestly, as I described before, why the correlation right now between the U.S. stock market and Bitcoin is so high. It's obviously for one main reason. People are not looking at Bitcoin for the change of the world or the financial system or anything like that. The majority of the retail buyers, they're thinking, I buy right now to make money on this to sell because Bitcoins are a big hype. They don't think about the actual reason as to why it's so trendy. And I described before this little paradigm shift that we need to have happen in order to really get this inverse correlation, hopefully, with the stock market going. Again, people need to start realizing the current financial system is crooked in a couple of ways. If you look at the money supply, for example, things are not going well. If you look at the actual inflation, things are not really doing so beautifully. So there are a couple of ways to change, a couple of ways to make it better. But one of the things which a lot of people find so fascinating about Bitcoin is the fact that it's decentralized money and basically so trustless. Anything can be seen, anything can be observed because it's open to everybody. Everybody has the exact same info, and there's no real no total supply inflation, let's say it like that. Having said that, yeah, it's not necessarily bad though as a whole, right? The fact that they are looking into it, as an investment vehicle, it kind of shows them having some sort of faith, or at least learning from it about it in some way, shape, or form. Apparently, last year, 12% of the surveyed adults held or used crypto. This is a very skewed piece of data, I believe. I think it's more to even lower than 10%, actually. If you think about it, even over in the US, I think it might even be lower than 8. Over a survey, you cannot really extrapolate this properly, all right? A surveyed pair usually people who take the time to survey something like this are either older, or like when I'm thinking about it, like university type of students, or people who are more inclined to use a computer anyway, or is this like a physical survey? If I'm thinking about my grandma here, she's not going to fill this survey. If I think about anybody else in my family, I can't really think of that many that would actually fill this survey, except for some people that I might have gone to school with before at some point. I think some of them might surely want to fill this survey to let people know of their opinion. I'm also always thinking of like a Facebook mom, right? The typical thing. Then again, nothing bad. I'm just saying this number might not really be something we can trust upon. I think it's upwardly biased. Maybe they've already adjusted for it. I don't know. They've just said 12% of surveyed adults. They didn't extrapolate anything, or at least they didn't showcase that to me. Then again, I don't think this is meant to be some crazy sort of analysis. And at the end of the day, it's just to show some insights as to the number changes and how high it already is. It starts to also talk a little bit more about what type of people invest into all of this. Logically, the more money you have, the more likely you are to invest in this type of stuff, and also the more access you have to this type of stuff. Because logically, if you don't really have any smartphone or bank account or so, yeah, the chances are a lot smaller that you're going to purchase something like this, but it doesn't really matter for right now. All right, that was it for our little update just on some of the stuff that's going on in the crypto market. Just wanted to quickly get this on to you guys. And a little bit later, I'll get you guys with more updates and more news and more in-depth stuff, all right? So this is just a little general overview of some of the stuff going on, and I'll see you guys later in another crypto video.